Hey Loomers, happy Valentine's Day. This is Michelle from Rainbow Loom, and today I'll be teaching you how to make these mini heart murals. The design of this in terms of laying the bands and hooking the bands isn't that new, but it's been featured in a couple of our short form videos and we always get requests for tutorials. I would consider this an intermediate level design because we do use double bands and looming them can get a little bit tricky, plus they add some additional tension, but otherwise the steps are pretty straightforward and simple. There are actually two main ways to make murals, which is horizontally using several looms, or one big loom, or vertically using 2 rows of pins and letting the design grow down. Because this design is pretty small, you can also use one of the Rainbow Loom 2.0s without the removable pins to make this design vertically. But today, I'll be showing you how to make these mini murals horizontally, but just know that this can be adapted to a vertical format. When we make this design on the loom, it will not have this outer border. To make the outer border of the mural, we actually followed another creator's tutorial, so that video will be linked in the description. It should add around 25 bands to your band count. Now let's go over the materials needed. For your loom, you'll need one that has a width of 7 pins, which I know is a lot. You can use 3 Rainbow Loom 2.0s, 7 rows of Rainbow Loom 1.0 pins, or our Mega Mighty Loom, which comes with 7 rows of pins. If you have the original Rainbow Loom, it will actually be easier to orient the pins in a rectangle shape like this, and if you're using the 2.0, just make sure that you're carefully counting your rows of pins because when you connect all of the looms, the pins will be a little bit more staggered, but it's definitely possible to make it using these looms. I'll be using the Mega Mighty Loom. This kit is from Target. It's called the Mega Mighty Loom case and it comes with the newly released Auto Loom. I'm also using a hook from the same kit, and the bands I'm using are the glow-in-the-dark Treasure Box bands from Michaels. Now for our rubber band count. There are 80 background color bands which are pink here, 20 heart border bands which are black here, 12 heart color bands which are red here, around 25 border bands if you choose to add it afterwards which again are black here, and 10 of what I'm calling holder bands which are bands that connect all these rows together. For the holder bands, I'd recommend using clear, but if you don't have clear, you can use the same color as your background bands. So in total, we will be using 122 bands or 147 bands if you end up doing an additional border. Before we start placing our bands, you'll want to make sure that your loom is oriented correctly with the pins making a U shape. This Mega Mighty Loom has arrows pointing forward with the number 1, so we'll start laying our bands down from this side. To make this mini mural, we're going to be following this diagram where the pixels correspond to the bands that we'll place down. When we make murals horizontally, we're actually going to turn this diagram upside down and we'll start from row 1. Just as a heads up, the first and last rows are going to be a little bit different from the other row, so if you're planning on going ahead, just make sure that you pay attention to those steps. Based on the diagram, our first row is just our background color. First, let's place our slipknot band, so just drop a single band at the bottom left pin, and I'm using my background color, the purple, for this. I actually forgot to do this when I filmed the other parts, so this slipknot band is going to disappear momentarily, but make sure that you keep yours on. After putting on our slipknot band, then we can place a horizontal single chain starting from the left side where we placed our slipknot band using 6 bands in total. So take your first background color band and stretch it from the first pin in the row to the second pin in the row. Then take your next background color band and stretch it from the second pin in the row to the third pin in the row. Continue this until you have a chain of 6 single horizontal bands on the first row of pins, not including the slipknot band. And make sure to push down on these so that we have room for placing other bands. We're still not done with our first row on the diagram yet. Now we're going to add double bands vertically upwards on each column of pins. I'll be using the background color purple again for this. So I'm starting on the first pin in the first row and placing 2 bands up to the pin above it for all 7 columns. For this part, we will have used 14 bands. That concludes our first row. Now we're going to do things a little differently until the last row of bands. Let's start with row 2. For all of the vertical bands, just remember that we're placing double bands. So by following the diagram where each pixel on the row corresponds to 1 column of vertical double bands, I'm placing background bands for the first 2 columns, then placing the heart border bands, which I chose white for, and then the background color bands again, the heart border bands, and lastly, 2 columns of the background color bands. Let's do a quick sanity check and make sure that your loom matches mine. If it does, then the last step of each row is to add 2 holder bands, which ideally should be clear bands or match your background color. Take a single band and starting on the second row of pins, we're going to place the band horizontally from the first pin to the 5th pin. Then take another single band and place it from the 3rd pin to the last or 7th pin. If you're using the same loom as me, it should look like this. But if you're using another loom, it will look a little bit different. Now we'll continue doing the same as row 2 for the rest of the rows except for the last row. I'll continue to do this with you just in case you want to work together though. Now on to row 3. Based on the diagram, we have 1 pixel of our background band, 1 pixel of our border band, 1 pixel of our heart band, I'm doing pink for mine, another pixel of our border band, another pixel of our heart band, another pixel of our border band, and lastly 1 pixel of our background band. Remember to use double bands for all of the vertical bands. Then we can place our holder bands where we take a single band and on the 3rd row up, place the first one from pins 1 to 5 and place the second one from pins 3 to 7. Now we're on row 4. This is really similar to the last row. We have a background color pixel, a border color pixel, 3 heart color pixels, a border color pixel, and lastly a background color pixel. Remember that these vertical bands are all double bands. Then take a single holder band and place it starting from the 4th row up, so from the 1st pin to the 5th pin, and then take another one and place it from the 3rd pin to the 7th pin. Now we're on row 5. From left to right, we have 2 background pixels, a border pixel, a heart pixel, a border pixel, and then 2 background pixels. Then take your single holder band and place it from pins 1 to 5, then place another one on pins 3 to 7. We're almost at the end. Let's get into row 6. We have 3 background pixels, a border pixel, and another 3 background pixels. Then take your holder band and place it from pins 1 to 5, and then another holder band goes on pins 3 to 7. Congrats! This is the last row of bands that we're placing down, which is row 7. We're going to place all the vertical bands and holder bands like you did for the previous rows, but at the end we're going to add an extra step. For this last one, it's just a row of double bands in your background color. Then you can take a single holder band and place it from pins 1 to 5, and then another single holder band goes on pins 3 to 7. Then we're going to do another row of horizontal single bands from right to left, similar to what we did in the beginning. After you have placed the 6 horizontal single bands, then on the last pin I'm adding a triple looped cap band. To do this, I'm taking a single band and placing it at the back of my hook and twisting it so that there are 3 loops on the hook. Then I'm transferring the triple looped cap band onto the leftmost pin, which should be where we placed our last horizontal single band. And with that, we're all done with placing our bands. Now we can spin our loom around and start the hooking process. You can see that there's an arrow with the number 2 next to it on the loom. Go and get your hook ready and let's start. Normally I hold the hook like I would a pencil, but sometimes I may hold the hook a little differently because I don't want to block the camera. We're going to loom the horizontal row of bands first, starting from the right side where the cap band is. So I'm going to stick my hook inside the pin, pull back on the triple looped cap band, and reach for the next band, which should be your horizontal band. With that band on my hook, I'm bringing it back to itself to the pin on the left. Let's watch that again, but closer. From top to bottom, we have the triple looped cap band, horizontal band, and double vertical bands. We're taking this horizontal band, which is in between the bottom vertical bands and the top triple looped cap band. Place your hook inside the pin, then pull back up on the triple looped cap band to reach the horizontal band. Bring it up into the pin on its left. Now we're going to continue this for the other bands on this row. So reach into the next pin, pull back on the horizontal band that we just loomed, grab the next single horizontal band, and bring it back to itself on the pin to its left. Continue this pattern for the rest of the horizontal bands. Once those have been loomed, we can now loom all of the vertical bands. I'm going to do this row by row so that I don't miss any bands. Reach into the pin on the row we just worked on and grab the 2 vertical bands. Make sure not to grab any other bands. Just grab the 2 vertical bands and bring them forward to the pin above. Do this for the rest of the row. Then continue this for each row of vertical bands. I'm going to speed this up a little bit, but feel free to rewind. Once all the vertical bands have been loomed, then at the end we can loom the horizontal bands. This is similar to what we did in the beginning. We're going to start on the left side and end with the slip knot on the right side. When we reach into the pins, we'll be grabbing the very last band on each pin. Starting from the leftmost pin, reach into it and grab the bottom single horizontal band. Bring that band up and back to itself on the pin to its right. Then do the same for the next pins until you reach the slip knot. For the slip knot, I'm grabbing it with one hand and using the hook to grab the other side. Pull it out of the pin and place both sides on the hook. Then slip one side of the band through the other and pull gently to tighten. Now we can carefully take our mini heart off the loom. I'd recommend doing this super slowly because there's a lot of tension and we don't want to risk breaking anything. You may need to stretch out the bands a little bit for the sides to look more even. And then you can hide the slip knot in the mural by taking your hook, reaching into the mural, grabbing the slip knot, and pulling it inside. This is what your mini heart mural should look like when it's done. If you want to now, you can add a border using your hook, which is kind of like attaching a single chain bracelet onto the sides of the mural, but I'm not going to do that for this one. Remember that the video tutorial for that will be linked in the description. Thank you all for watching this tutorial on how to create these mini heart murals. I think this design is super cute and I'm excited to see what your hearts will look like. So if you make this, please tag us at this username and use the hashtag Rainbow Loom so that we can see your creations on Instagram, TikTok, and Facebook. We also host weekly giveaways on Instagram, and sometimes we even give away larger or more unique prizes, so be sure to follow us on there. In the description box below, you can also find where to purchase your own Rainbow Loom kit. There are many different kits available. The one I used for this video is the Mega Mighty Loom case, and it's also linked in the description box. Thanks again for watching this video. This is actually my first full-length tutorial in maybe like 10 years, so I'm super excited to be back, and I'll see you in the next tutorial.